What's going on, y'all? I'm back with another quick volume of Welcome to the Franchise here. Just want to tap in some more with the NFL draft, as this is the week where it's going to be going down, kicking off on Thursday. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the storylines going on. I feel like I want to talk a little bit about all this quarterback talk and shit. You know, all these prospects and where they should go and who's going to slide and who's a lead and who's this and that. So with that being said, let me just tap straight into it. So I say this with the coverage that's been going on around all the QBs, especially SHEDEUR Sanders, and we know why he's getting a lot of the criticism or a lot of the talk around him because he's Deion Sanders' son, right? But for the other quarterbacks in this draft and how they're talking about them, some being, that they'll shoot up to the first round or go ahead of SHEDEUR, or they should be taken at the top of the second round. I want to tap into more of that also because, to me, in this draft, everyone after Cam and SHEDEUR is basically a third-round quarterback talent, right? But a lot of them, and we've been seeing it for the past few years all the time, a lot of these QB talents is being promoted like they're first and second round type QBs. And it's all because of, the QB desperation. Everybody's like, if you don't have a QB, you don't have nothing. If, QB's everything. QB's the end all, be all, and all this shit, right? Which in some cases, it is true. You need a quarterback. And that's why you see a lot of these motherfuckers, a lot of these teams taking these crazy ass swings and shit, trading the whole future for a washed-up quarterback, a washed-up veteran quarterback, or trading the whole future for, trading all their picks and shit for, a quarterback that they think is going to be generational, air quotes, right? And they throw that shit around too much. The last few drafts, none of these quarterbacks have been generational type talents like that. Like, I'm talking about really changed the game. The ones that we've seen in recent memory that have been drafted that really changed the fucking game is Lamar, Mahomes, and Josh Allen. I'm talking about to recent memory. All these motherfuckers they've been talking about, generational talent, this, that, nah, they not that. They nice. They're good. Some of them are really good. Some of them, they had a chance, or they may have a chance to be really great. You know what I mean? There's probably one of them I could just think off the top of my head that might be generational at some point. We have to see. He had a nice rookie year last year in Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix is pretty good. Would I say generational? No. But a lot of these quarterbacks, to me, they're really third round quarterbacks, but they have to be promoted and picked as such first round quarterbacks. Trade up in the middle of the first, reach for them in the first round, or reach for them at the top of the second round because of the desperation and how much pressure the media also and all these motherfuckers put on. Like, yo, you gotta have a quarterback, this, that, whatever. And I think that it's time for motherfuckers to come back to reality and stop setting these kids up for some failure here. I'll put it in that perspective, because when you got these when you got these franchises trying to draft these kids that are they're really graded as a second, third, or even a fourth round talent, and then it's like, oh, the desperation, oh, they tested well, oh, they had a great combine, oh, out of nowhere they had an even better pro day. When you seen what you seen on tape, or if you go to the games and everything you seen with your own eyes throughout the years of their career in college, or this 1 year that they had a great year, you see with your eyes that, okay, they nice, but we need to see more. We could work with them. That's why you want to do all this other shit, like pro days and combines, where they're not even in full pads and they're not playing against anyone. They're doing everything on air. How's that going to change your perspective like that and be like, oh, nah, they're number 5 pick? You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's always been a little bit crazy. But I think it's setting them up to fail, because when you get them, when you pick some of these players that are probably should be going the second, third round and they could fall in a good situation for them, where they're behind a veteran quarterback or behind a young veteran quarterback or behind another young quarterback, where they may be able to compete, or they get hurt, they have a chance to play, or they could just learn for a little bit, develop their game. You have them being drafted at what, 5, 16s, late 20s, early in the second round, and then the pressure is put on them media-wise or from the team or from the coaches or from the fans. Like, no, we got to start him. He got to play right away. Why is he not playing? Oh, he's not nice, then he ain't going to make it. And then you play them and they fail, and then they're being labeled a bust, or they just wash out. And then we're seeing now also that doesn't always have to be the case, because when you see motherfuckers like Geno Smiths and Baker Mayfields and Sam Darnolds, when they come back around catching their second, third win, in their career with other teams, and it takes them time instead of just throwing them in there, to fail and shit and call them a bust in their ass and all this shit, because you're drafting like they're supposed to save your whole franchise like a savior, and they're supposed to do everything. This one position is supposed to compensate for the whole winning of the franchise. That ain't how that shit work. This the ultimate team sport. You got to build a whole roster together. It can't just be on one player who's also young and has to learn and go through their lumps. Yes, there's some motherfuckers that coming out QB in their first year, their first 2 years, they just get it. It just happens. But that doesn't happen all the time. Even those motherfuckers isn't generational like that. Joe Burrow to me is not a generational talent, but that motherfucker is nice. He is a great. He's early in his career. He's a great quarterback. Is he changing the game, doing all this crazy shit, generational, like they like to throw that shit around? No. But if you get a motherfucker like that on your team in your building, yes, you take that pick. You make that pick. You seen his body of work throughout college. He went through the ups and the downs. He wasn't so good in the beginning. He went through the ups and downs, transferred. Then you seen those last couple years. And then, yes, you see that he's going to be good or great. And he's great. That makes sense. And now you continue to build around that, right? But when you got motherfuckers like and it's not a big criticism of the down them, because I do like these players. It's just I don't like them being promoted as, they're a first round quarterback. You know what I mean? When you got guys like the Jackson Darts and Jalen Milrose and Tyler, I've been saying Tyler Show, but it's Tyler Shuck, I guess. Tyler Shucks of the world. Even I heard at one point a Kyle McCord in there being like, yeah, they could be, second round or late first round picks when you're doing all of that shit, because these teams are kind of, QB hungry and desperate, which I feel like in a weird way this season, it's not too many teams that should be or need to be quarterback desperate right now to be doing no crazy shit like that. You got them being promoted as those talents. I'm like, that you kind of setting them up to fail, on top of the fact that you need to have these motherfuckers come back down to reality. QBs like this back in the day, I'll even throw Cam Ward and SHEDEUR in there. QBs like this back in the day was getting drafted in the third, fourth round, and they will fall in a nice situation or a decent situation where they could be a high-end backup or fuck around and be a starter. You know what I mean? Or be in a situation where they could learn behind a vet that was nice before them, and maybe they got hurt or, stuff started dwindling down and they got their shot. Like a Dak Prescott, drafted in the fourth round, and he came in after Romo. And now look at his career. And I'm not saying that Dak is elite or great or anything like that, but he's a good, solid mainstay as a quarterback. At least you got that down pat, instead of some teams out there fucking spinning, trying to, this draft we got to take one. This draft, we're not in position to take one this draft. Now we got to trade for an over-the-hill quarterback. We got to trade all these picks for a quarterback from another team and shit. Now we can't build out the rest of our roster and be like, damn, why the quarterback we trade for suck now? You know what I mean? Like, that ain't how that shit work. I don't think that's a good philosophy or a good mindset to be going about building. If you want to be a championship contender, building a team, putting it all on just one position. To me, guys like even SHEDEUR and Cam, they would probably be second rounders in most drafts, or even last draft and everything like that. And they probably fall in good situations, which weirdly, I think, as long as none of them go to the Browns, I think weirdly they're still going to end up in good situations wherever they fall. I can't say fall for Cam Ward. We know he's going to be number one pick. But as far as SHEDEUR, I think he'll end up in a nice situation, whether it be the Raiders or the Saints, because he's going to have time to learn a little bit, not start right away. And then they could build and mature during their career and everything like that. The other guys behind them, to me, they're all third-round quarterbacks. I think SHEDEUR is a first-round quarterback, whether it be in the top 10 or the late first. Motherfuckers talk about him sliding all the way to the Steelers. I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it should get that far. I think if the Raiders smarten up they should pick him. If not, the Saints should definitely be smart and might as well get that so you could build out everything else on your roster for years to come. And in this draft also after picking SHEDEUR, you could get all those other positions, defensive tackle, edge rusher, whatever, receiver, whatever else you want. You could get those in this draft. This draft is deep. And there's going to be other drafts after that where you're going to be able to find elite talent to help your quarterback if you don't feel he's elite and someone like SHEDEUR like that. Raiders, it look like they want to go with Ashton Genty. All right, fine. You want to put all your shit in a running back for your first pick, all your shit on a running back for your first pick in the first round when this shit is deep at running back also. All right, go ahead. Fine, do that shit. But I don't want to hear some Jackson Dart. He should be a first rounder, even though I'm not going to lie. I've been saying that the Rams probably should take him or would take him at 26. But that's just because everyone's hyping him there. And I think the Rams, there's going to be someone between round 2 and round 4 that's going to probably pick Jackson Dart. And the Rams probably should just take him right then and there because what are they going to do for the future at quarterback? Or they could still take Kyle McCord later on, so I don't know. But it's kind of tough to hear that. And my thing is this also, I think it's important that, especially at quarterback, all positions really, is how I've always felt about this throughout the years in the NFL. But quarterback, most importantly, of course, that these motherfuckers got to fall in the right situation with the right coaching to set them up for success. It got to be that. Because, dropping from the first round to the third round may not be the worst thing for you. It may not be the worst thing in the right situation for you. So if you fall to the third, you're graded as a third or fourth round quarterback, and you fall to the right situation where you could be a backup and learn and eventually be groomed to be the starter, that's a great situation for both parties, the franchise and the player, if they fall in the right situation with the right coaching and support to set them up for success. But you don't see that too much anymore at all in the NFL these days. Same thing for, like I said, same thing for other players, same thing for some receivers, defensive players. Put them in the right spots, in the right situations to succeed and get the production and value out of them while they're with your program or with your system. You know what I mean? I think that it's important to build around the mindset of what you have for the production standards from a certain position. I think that really should be the goal for success, not just putting it all on one player or one position and with a first round pick to be the savior of your team to win, or drafting just any player only for best player available or just for need. I think shit, call me crazy here or whatever, but I think it would be best if most franchises find the right balance of both. Drafting the best player available that you need for your franchise and having the foresight also to see, okay, if I pick at this position right now, for 2 seasons from now or 5 seasons from now, how is that going to help when we are set up in a position to okay, maybe we can't get the QB we want. We're picking at 16 and we're not in position, our roster's not going to be in position to pick in the top 5 for the next couple seasons because our roster actually has some talent on here to get in the playoffs, just miss the playoffs, or go deep in the playoffs. Okay, how do I pick in this draft now to set up maybe in, like I said, 2 to 3 years, 5 to 6 years, not 5 to 6, it's a little too long, but let's say 2 to 3 years, I'm building in this draft and the first to the other rounds, where let's say I do fall in a position where you have multiple talent everywhere at quarterback, even through the second round, where let's say I'm at number 20-something or 32 like the Ravens, and someone who has not, there's never going to be another Lamar Jackson, but I'm saying talent caliber equivalent to a Lamar Jackson, he drops to me at 32 if I trade back, or 27 or 25 after making the playoffs, and my roster's already set for him to come in and do his thing. And now we're on a run to get into the Super Bowl or being in the playoffs for a good 5-year window. I'm just saying, listen, that might be a crazy philosophy to everyone else out there, or these motherfuckers that think this team should do that and do this, or how they do in real life, the real GMs and shit. But I think that should be the goal for success. Get the value of production out of certain positions that you can, whether with your program, with your system, and then have a mindset and philosophy of the production you want out of each of those positions, not just one, not just a QB, and don't overshoot the shit. If the motherfucker is a third round quarterback, hey, he a third round quarterback. If somebody wants to go crazy and reach for them because they have to, let them go ahead and do that while you keep building out the rest of your roster. Unless you have absolutely no fucking quarterback. If you have no quarterback on your team, or no left tackle, or no pass rusher at all, those are the three top most important positions, offensive tackle, edge rusher, and quarterback being number one, then yeah, you go ahead. Pull the trigger. Take your shot. Make your trade. Make your pick. Do what you got to do. But like I said, I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to if you get in the right situation with the right coach and the right mindset, the right foundation of building a roster and everything like that, then you could build up any player for success, whether they're a fourth-round quarterback to a first-round quarterback, whether they're a second-round receiver to a seventh-round receiver, whether they're a fifth-round cornerback to a third-round quarterback. And same thing with offensive linemen. Offensive linemen are good anywhere. Even defense, in the trenches, defensive tackles, you can find them from the fifth round to the first round to whatever. Same thing with old linemen. It's just that if you want an offensive tackle, you definitely always want to be extra, extra sure. So, yeah, if you find a sure bet, not no experiment, no project in the first round, you take that there. But defensive tackle, offensive guards, and shit like that, it's not, and even tight ends. But it's not absolutely necessary like, oh, this is the best person at tight end or the best person at offensive guard or defensive tackle here at pick number 5. I got to take it here. You kind of find that anyway, but if you had the right coaching staff, the right people to set these motherfuckers up for success. So I'm just kind of end it up and wrap it up on that note right there. This quick volume of Welcome to the Franchise. Y'all out there be easy.